It's 6 o'clock on Thursday, September 1st. September, remember. Time for us to say morning, Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Welcome to the Thursday morning edition of Morning Barbados. I'm Katrina Marshall on this first day of September, saying thank you for making us your first choice to start your morning off right, of course. I'm starting my morning off right with Doug Hoyt. Morning, Doug.
Morning, Barbados. And Katrina, what are you remembering this September?
September, the month of a few birthdays in my family. The kids go back to school, but I don't.
Yeah, the kids
and
back
the gridlock.
to school. Mm-hmm.
The gridlock.
It's part of life, though.
It is. You just need to leave a little bit earlier, slow down and arrive alive, as I always say. But of course, the world will always remember September for the attacks that changed the world.
On the World Trade Center, yes, September 11th. What were you doing then? And where were you?
Strangely enough, I had just returned to Barbados from Washington for a wedding. I got back to work. I was working somewhere else at the time. I heard it on the radio, and I spent the rest of the day in interviews. I was still in active news at the time, and I was sitting in the car with my father, and he says, "Whoa!" And I think I worked 36 hours solid after that, just gathering interviews, being glued to the phone, glued to the TV, and of course I couldn't get through to my family in Washington, whom I just left. So it was funny because the wedding that I'd been away for will now always be remembered as the wedding that happened a few days before 9/11.
Well, I was in Tampa, Florida on vacation, and
Got caught in the thick of it?
And I was, they woke me up and said, hey, something is happening in New York, and all I remember is that I couldn't get back to Barbados for 3 or 4 days.
Yep. And I know a lot of people who told that story, but you are with us, and they are rebuilding, and they're trying to create new memories on that site. So hopefully this September 11th, we will remember that.
That's right. There's a big ceremony planned, I think, for September the 9th it is, and it's a private ceremony, and then the 10th and the 11th, it's a public affair as they open Ground Zero Memorial.
And the fact that they have rebuilt says that we will not let your actions determine our history, and I think that's a really great gesture. Fantastic gesture.
Libya too.
I can't keep up with Libya.
Who's in charge?
Well, the two sons, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi's two of his sons, Islam al-Saif, one of them is saying that we will fight to the death, and his brother is saying, well, we'll negotiate.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure.
And we haven't heard from Pop yet.
No.
Yeah, you still wants to kick the rats out. You know what I mean?
Pop's chilling out on the ground. But anyway, we're going to get to some Morning Barbados top lines. These are the stories that we'll be giving you the full details to in our main news package at the top of the hour, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about what's happening internationally with the International Herald Tribune. Doug?
Thank you, Katrina. Good morning, Barbados. Education Minister Ronald Jones has been commenting on the increase in criminal activity in Barbados. He says Barbadians must stand up to the threat of crime in the country and stop hiding. The Congress of Trade Unions and Staff Association has had its say on the 2011 budget. General Secretary Dennis DePisa is disappointed, however, that government did not use the opportunity to look at public sector wages and salaries. As the Barbados Stock Exchange celebrates its 25th anniversary, Chairman Dr. Grenville Phillips has been reflecting on some of the challenges facing the market. He has identified one such as the local tax system, which allows debt financing to be treated more favorably than equity investment. Antigua and Barbuda is hoping that Trinidad and Tobago remains committed to the ideals and core principles of the Caribbean community. The comment comes from Prime Minister Baldwin Spencer as the oil-rich Twin Island Republic celebrated its 49th year of political independence from England. And that is news we're looking at. Specific details will come your way in the 7 o'clock news hour. Katrina, what's happening as it relates to the international news and
The local newspaper.
And the local newspapers.
Well, we start with the International Herald Tribune. It's the global edition of the New York Times. And as we were discussing, we start with news, of course, from Tripoli. Brigades scramble for power in Tripoli a week after rebels broke into Colonel Muammar al-Gaddafi's former stronghold. Much of Tripoli remains divided into fiefs, each controlled by quasi-independent brigades representing different geographic areas of the country. Fighters from the western mountain city of Zintan control the Tripoli airport. Fighters from from the Misrata Guard, the city's main bank, the port, and the Prime Minister's office, where their graffiti has relabeled the historic plaza Misrati Square. Berbers from the mountain town Yafran took charge of the central square here in Tripoli, where they sprayed Yafran revolutionaries. We'll keep an eye peeled to that story. And the leaders gather for a Paris summit. There's going to be a key summit in Paris where French President Nicolas Sarkozy and UK PM David Cameron are there to begin talks on the Libya crisis. More on that later. But two big names in the telecoms industry. The US moves to block the sale of T-Mobile to AT&T. The U.S. Department of Justice filed a lawsuit to block the proposed $39 billion merger of AT&T and T-Mobile USA on antitrust grounds, saying a deal between the second and fourth largest wireless phone carriers in the United States would substantially lessen competition, result in higher prices, and give consumers fewer innovative products. Watch this space. The battle for the mobile giants continues. The Ayatollah has warned the West against seeking gains from Arab revolts. Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei admonished the West and Israel on Wednesday not to seek advantage from the anti-government uprising convulsing the Arab Muslim world. And when the Ayatollah speaks, the world listens. That's what's happening in the international papers. Brought to you, of course, by our friends at Newspaper Direct. You can visit them if you want your own copy at newspaperdirect.com. Call them at 436-1314. You can give them a visit. Unit number 3, Lower Estate Factory Complex, St. Michael. Bringing it on home to find out what's happening on the local newspapers. Two held. These cops are working overtime, Doug. Cops making headway in St. George double murder. Police have made a breakthrough in the August 2nd double murders at Salters in St. George. Lawmen confirmed yesterday they were questioning 2 suspects after several weeks of investigations into the slayings at the home of 79-year-old victim Arthur Frederick Chatterton last month. And as we were saying, the teachers are back to school. The Michaelmas term officially starts today. Head teachers and staff are expected to report for work to get things in gear. Here we see the Minister of Education Ronald Jones and other officials touring the facilities at the Thelma Berry Nursery School, which is being housed in the old St. David's Primary. On the back page, more discussions between the doctors at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, the Barbados Association of Medical Practitioners, and the QEH board. The docs are angry, apparently. They've criticized the chairman of the QEH for referring to proposed salary increases that were not discussed at a negotiation meeting on Tuesday. There's a man homeless after losing his residence to fire in the city. You can get the details to that in The Nation. Now for The Advocate, where $1 million has been spent on school repairs as the school term begins. The Ministry of Education has spent a total of $1 million in this summer's program on refurbishment for 23 schools. There's a need for more partnership with youth. You need to find out who thinks that. And on the back page, good news coming out of the QEH. Their interns have been awarded. You want the details to those stories? You can go out today and pick up your copy of the local newspapers, and we will be bringing you some more headlines at the top of the hour at 7 o'clock. Now, Doug, Libya, what's going on?
Who knows? Who knows? Who is in charge? You know,
who's guarding the guards?
Who's guarding the guards? It's an interesting scenario. I just kind of hope that everything works itself up for the benefit of the Libyan people.
Well, that's what's being forgotten.
Let's forget the rhetoric, you know.
That's what's being forgotten among all of that. However, we do have some good news to share. Sedima is celebrating an anniversary, so we'll be discussing how they'll be commemorating that in the first half of our show.
And we have the young people with a lot of talent with us.
Oh, the music during soundcheck was great this morning.
Yeah,
Lots of little people running around singing. The teen talent contestants are here. And of course, Jeremy Stephen brings you the price of everything. But that's just in our first half. We're going to take a very short break. And when we come back, we've got more for you on this Thursday edition of Morning Barbados. Don't go away.